Hi church family, welcome to this little feedback video from our vision night a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for watching this. Well, I suppose you haven't watched it yet, but hopefully me saying thank you means you will watch it to the end, and that would be very, very much appreciated. So really, it was great. We've had some people feedback, just some thoughts, questions, reflections, and that's really helpful because I think, as I shared that night, communication is really, really hard. It's really tough because we're all different. We all hear different things. We have all got different experiences, good and bad, and they feed into what's heard. You know, you see Jesus walking around, he's the Son of God, he's absolutely perfect, and people didn't understand what he was saying, which makes you feel like, what hope have I got? But we'll try our best, and we are really, really working hard. I know I've been working hard, I know the team's been working hard to try and communicate better. So, our vision night wasn't everything, and that's my first point. It wasn't everything. We weren't trying to communicate the earth. We weren't sharing every single thing going on. We're just trying to take a few things and talk about those. And we did put out a message before to say, this is what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about leadership structure, finance, and about house church. Really important. If you haven't, do try and catch up by watching the video. It's on YouTube. And as well, do read this roadmap little thing we produced. Shares a bit more and sort of complements what was shared that night, and especially really around this whole Oasis Incubator Catapult is something we've sort of talked about over the last few years, and we're just really beginning to feel like, hey, that reflects something of what we do in terms of gathering, in terms of growing, and in terms of going. So here's a few questions that were asked, and here's a bit of our feedback. So first question that several people asked was, it wasn't what they were expecting. And I get that. I think for several people felt like, well, I'm coming to a vision night, it's going to be where are we going in the next 18 months, 3 years, and all about that. And of course, quite a lot of what we talked about was stuff right here and now. If you went to Vision Express today, we'd all know that we wouldn't expect to sit with the optician and then tell you your life purpose for the next 4 years, or what your mission statement is. They give you something that helps you see better where you are and therefore enables you to look ahead. And I think where I'm aware, I think differently from quite a lot of people, and apologies if I'm unhelpful at times. I'm very nailed towards culture and less structure and those sort of things, but really tried to work hard that evening, especially around leadership, to share, hey, this is the structure that has emerged, this is how things happen. And really the reflection on that was how people have been concerned, how are big decisions made, who's involved in that. And so, we want you to see something more of what went on and what goes on in HCC. And really, like that leadership structure and the finance, that's all part of the bedrock, in a sense, that enables us to look ahead. So also to say, we hadn't met like that really for some time, and we're trying to find how best to communicate. And the likelihood is we think we'll be doing probably a couple of those sort of nights a year, which I think will help because we're able to then focus on different aspects and different things going on. So that was the first question. A second point that was raised was around leadership structure, around burnout, of people seeing, different people serve on different teams, and is that healthy, and is that going to stretch people too much? And that's really kind, and I like that people are thinking that way, and we are not trying to kill anybody. One of the challenges has been when we don't just have one big team doing everything, which was maybe where we were some time ago, and that served well at that time, but it was tricky to cover everything from one big team. And so we've diversified, and we've tried to be clear on what the different teams are doing as they've emerged. Please do read that in the roadmap stuff. They've each got a clear sense of what they are and what they do and how that relates. But one of the things we found was then actually we were wasting and using up a lot of time, because what can happen is one team over here is talking about something, at the same time another team's talking about something. And then when a couple of people from those two teams meet, you find out you spent all this time talking about it at cross purposes, and then you've got to have another meeting to walk it out. So especially we've been aware over the years that the challenge of serving on our trust board, being part of our trustees and our charitable status, and how that interacts with the leadership has always been a tension. And in the end, the Charities Commission set us up like that a bit, and we've had to work hard to overcome that. And what we've really found is then actually having people like Jo, for example, who's our chair of trustees, her being part of our core team, part of our staff team that meet on Tuesdays, is actually so helpful. It means less work. It means we're on song, on point, and we're together. And just really to flag as well, I shared last year about true friendship. And it's really important that where we have proper relationships, that things aren't then backhanded or we're just agreeing with everybody because they're our mates. The environment we're wanting to cultivate is one of challenge, one of discussion, one of where other points of view are put in. And we've been practicing that. And we've had some beautiful, challenging conversations around that. So we're wanting to grow that. We're wanting to make sure we're united. We don't want to waste time, work at cross purposes. But if you're ever worried about anybody, why not just have a chat with them and check they're all right? Because I know those people have made intentional choices to do those things. I think finally, one of the other key questions that came through was about our use of the word pastor. Now, if you really know me, and it's always important, isn't it, that whenever you hear something new or different, relate it into the person you know. A lot of you have known me, you've known us for a long time, and hopefully you know what we're about. I do not want to be called Pastor Matt. I go out of my way not to be that. I am just a son of the living God. I am a servant of Jesus Christ. But I have a function. And functionally, I serve as senior pastor, and I've done that for some time. I don't want, if we get a building, I do not want a parking space. I don't even have an office at the moment. You know, we're not lording it over. It's merely functional titles. And I think especially as we've brought in Heather and other people, we felt, okay, what are we going to call these people? And actually, pastor is a far more kind, nice, biblical word than leader. You know, leader can be very much, this is where we're going. Pastor is about caring, is about looking after, is about keeping people safe, is watching out for them. And we just felt that with other people coming on, that having that commonality of people who are being pastors of different areas within church life. And as I've found, I was using more and more for people outside HCC. When they say, what do you do? I say, hey, I'm a church pastor, because that's what I do. And they understood that. So please don't freak out about the title, because we're not. Please don't use that when you talk to us. It's merely functional. It's not our identity and it's not our value. It doesn't make any of us better than anybody else. But for people outside of HCC and for people new to HCC, those titles can be really helpful. I remember years ago, someone came up to me in church. They'd been newish, around for a few months, and they said, we love it here, but we just don't know who the leaders are. How does this thing work? And so I'm trying to share, hey, this is where we're at the moment. Here's some clarity. And just finally to finish on that, Catherine and I lead together. Last year in September, Andrew and Ruth Price laid hands on us at HCC and prayed for us. That's not about some elevation of position. It's just recognising we've served for a long time, and whilst we don't serve in the same way, I'm employed by the church, Catherine isn't, that we are not trying to double up. Catherine's not on a power trip. We recognise, hey, we serve together, and there's a strength. I need her. I would not be able to do what I do without her. There is so much that she feeds into. And at this time, we really wanted to be in a place, and we did it last year. We're just going, hey, we're serving you guys together. We're in that place. Doesn't mean we do exactly the same things. We don't sit in all the same meetings. We're aware of our different giftings. But there's power in relationship that brings blessing and brings grace. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing there. Love to hear more feedback. Finally, really just to say, do chew things over. It's not everything. We talked a bit about House Church. We're going to talk more about it, and we'll talk more about it. And in the end, if we do it, the proof will be in the pudding. But blessings to you. Do be praying for us. We're all facing a tough life, many challenges, and I know I need your prayers. So love you lots. God bless.
Just wanna sing the blues. Feels like a song that never stops. Feels like it's never gonna. Gotta get that fire back in my bones.